Hello, hello, hello. This is Dr. Troy.
And I'm Ben-Jamin Toy.
We're broadcasting from the Cohesion Culture headquarters in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, where even when it rains, the sun still shines.
You're going to hear real-time stories from leaders confessing their most crucial or recent uh-oh experiences in business.
Learn what their uh-oh cost them, steps they took to fix it, and how they planned
to not do that one again.
Hey, and welcome, cohesive leaders. It is our pleasure to introduce you to Ellie White-Stevens. Hi, Ellie.
Hey, Troy.
How are you doing today?
I'm having a beautiful day.
Super. Well, you know what? If I were any better, I'd be you. So thanks for joining our show today. One of the things we'd like to do to get started is tell us something about you that is not on a resume.
Not on a resume. So in college, I actually studied a little bit of opera performance. So
Wow.
I think, I don't get to sing except on cruise ships anymore, pretty much, like when there's live band karaoke or something like that. So, but I do think that when we go out in the world and we're trying to do sales, I think it's very performative. And I think you have to bring your A game of pronouncing your words correctly and getting out there to present yourself. And so I think that I've learned some lessons from opera, but that is a little something.
Well, and and I had a little inside. Ben did not know that, of course, but I knew a little bit of that because you and I have spent some time together. And as a matter of fact, I have listened to you and your husband karaoke on cruises. So, and yes, that opera training, you can definitely tell. Now, for me personally, opera training, the only opera training I've ever had is when people take pictures of me when I'm speaking, I always feel like they capture me when I'm at the perfect O for opera mouth.
Oh, yeah. Well, what your audience may not know, that I will not share all your secrets, is that Dr. Troy, he can get out there and do some karaoke and he is really entertaining. Like, he is not afraid. So, I think people should know that about him. Like, maybe you already do if you're a regular, listener to the Cohesive Leaders podcast, that Dr. Troy is a good karaokeer, because the best thing that you can do is show people a good time, and he does.
That's right, because what I lack in tone, I make up for in volume.
You make up for in stage presence.
Yeah, the solo, of course, people want to hear you talk. Solo, you can't hear you, but is it better to be a tenor, 10 or 12 feet away?
Better to be in another ship. That would be the best thing I'd say. Okay, Ben, bring us back.
All right. Ellie, we would love to get to know you as a person, your identity, not roles, actions, titles, things like that. So tell us character traits, behavior, what people say about what you want them to say about you, what you're striving to be said about you, or who you feel you are as a person, and then transition into roles that you have.
Sure. So I, typically will tell people when I'm trying to describe as a creative director, like who I am, I typically will say things like I am able to think creatively and analytically at the same time. I think that's my magic and special sauce, because not everybody can do that. Like sometimes people are highly creative and sometimes they're highly analytical, and the two don't meet. And I am able to marry those two things, which makes me able to, I think, do better strategy and implementation for people. As a person, I feel like as a leader, I'm about pulling people together and empowering them to do the work alongside me. I think the most important thing as a leader is recruiting good people to work with. So, one of the things that I do is a lot of community leadership, I'm the president of a local businesswomen's organization. There's a lot of community leadership along the way, and bringing people together and forming good teams, I think is also my sweet spot. And it's something I've done both in my agency and in my nonprofit work. So, I spent a lot of years doing a nonprofit fundraiser called Oh Christmas Tea, and we raised multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars for causes that benefit women and children. And I think, pulling together those teams of people, empowering people to each do their job, like whether that's in a business or in a nonprofit committee, people can feel empowered to make a difference, and that's kind of what I do. I have a couple of hats that I wear right now. I am the creative director of an agency called Dirt1X, which stands for Do It Right the First Time. I've been doing that for the last 16 years. Started that from scratch, which is its own set of like,
Well, you started it from dirt, right?
yeah, literally
Yeah,
from dirt, from nothing, and
from
grew
nothing.
it. Yeah. So started my agency Dirt1X, and then just last fall, I purchased a local media property called thecitizen.com with some investors, and I'm the editor of the local news site, so that covers multiple counties with the best quality local news that's available, and really the only local news site that's also locally owned and operated in my market, which for those of you who are watching across the country, we're in a South Metro Atlanta area.
Yeah, really. That's good. Yeah, so folks who also listen to the podcast can also go to YouTube and actually pick up the video version if they'd like to do that. But let's go now to focus a little bit. So you talked a little bit about who you are, which is your identity, and then the hats that you wear, those two hats that you talked about, which I know there's more roles that you play in life in general too, being a mom and a mate and so forth. But I think what was really helpful is making sure that you can identify who you are from a characteristic standpoint. And the one thing I know about you is that you're very approachable, and you take people into your arms. Like once they get within that kind of grasp, and Ben wanted to know if I should be 10 or 12 feet apart when I'm singing. For you, it's like you embody and bring people in, and not in a way to be smothering either. And I felt, because I know you and have had enough time to spend time with you, I really wanted our listeners to make sure that they understood the robustness of how you really take care of people and how you really bring them in around you. And that is a great characteristic. And I want to make sure people embrace identities and not just roles. We get so comfortable with our role and telling people who we are and what we do, but we often don't get an opportunity to get under the surface. So thank you for being authentic and being under the surface.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Troy. I think as that attempt to be that cohesive leader that you always talk about, that attempt to embody that, to bring people together, I really do feel like it's important that people know that it's not just that I'm here and I'm trying to get something done. I'm not just trying to accomplish something. I really feel like it's important for people to know that I care about them. Like in my newspaper, I say that what we do is compassionate community journalism. It's not where we just report on what's going on. It's where we're in it with you, where we're trying to do it with you. And I feel like that's important too for business. Like nothing is as exciting to me as when my clients sell more and save time and feel like they've accomplished more because we're working with them as an agency. It's like when they're winning and they call me with their wins, they're on the phone and they're so excited. Like I get excited with them. And I think like that's how I want to do life,
Yeah, no, it's really great. So we brought you on so that you could share an experience. Of course, this is something very personal to you. It could be either in your home life or in work. It really doesn't matter, but it has to be personal for you. This opportunity is for us to mentor to those folks who are listening, to give them and really an opportunity to mentor through what we call mistakes or mishaps. Many of the individuals listening to the show, they are dissatisfied with current employers because they're not getting training and development. They're unhappy because they're being passed over for promotion. They have no plan for improvement. And so we really find that letting people inside the messiness of leadership is so important to move forward. So share with us, please, your uh-oh experience that you wanted to bring to us today.
Yeah, so mine is dual fold, and it's for those of for people that you have that are thinking, I think I might start my own business. I think I'm going to step out and do that work. I hope that by listening to this podcast, they don't fall into the same ditch that I fell into. So,
Mm.
like, I'm hoping that we can help people avoid problems that can happen with a new business, because those are my uh-ohs, are new business uh-ohs that happened close to 16 years ago. So, when I started my business, I knew that I would be, as part of my agency, I would be selling print products. And when you sell print products, you have to collect sales tax. And so I went onto the Georgia State website. I tried to file for a sales tax number and do everything legally and put it all together. And I thought I had done it properly. And the number didn't get generated properly. But I still, knowing that I was supposed to remit sales tax, made an effort to do that, and to send in sales tax for the things that I was selling and doing. But being new in business and not having, really, let me just say, not a good accounting bone in my entire body, I did it wrong. I filed it wrong. I sent in the wrong amounts on the wrong schedule. I did it wrong. And because I was sending in money, they caught up with me and they called me on the phone and they said, "You've been doing this wrong. You've sent us in the wrong amounts and you owe," it was over $1,000. And I was new in business, and that was a heck of a lot of money in that day. Like, it was
Right.
devastating. And I want you to know, listeners, that in that day, that $1,000+ which I think was like 1,200 or 1,500, it was a lot of money. I cried so hard. Like, I cried so hard because I had tried so hard to do it the right way. Like, I'd made all these
Mm.
efforts to be correct and to file it properly, and I hadn't even remitted under the right, because apparently the Georgia state system had never even given me the right kind of number, and it just, nothing was right about it. And this state person, she was real nice to me, but it's not like I owed the money and I owed fines. And that's what, like, I owed, and they didn't take away any of the fines. They didn't like give me a break on the fines. There was like, all they give you is the ability to schedule your payments to repay the fines. And from then on, I did two things. The first thing was I started paying what I owed. And the second thing I did is hire a bookkeeper, like, immediately, so that I would never pay it wrong again. I hired professional bookkeepers. So that was my first uh-oh, was accounting. My second uh-oh
Oh, well, let's go to
was,
the second one.
oh,
Yep.
you want the
Let's
second one?
unpack this. Yeah, let's unpack
Oh,
this one first, and then you can come back to it.
okay.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
good.
give you, okay, and then I'll give you the second one because they're like married to each other. But
Okay.
yes.
All right, good. So Ben, so she has this experience here where she did not she thought she was doing it all right, and she didn't do it right. So what we want to know now is, what did that cost you aside from the money? Well, you already told us the money. So what did it cost you?
Um, You know, like, I'm a person who almost always has a positive attitude. Like, like I was on the tail end of a vacation and I had a great trip, which means I literally fell over and broke my foot and my wrist all in the same breath on the last day of vacation, right? So, like, I had a great trip. And I want you to know that in treating that broken foot and in going around on a knee scooter and not being able to walk on it for 6 months, I was like, it could have been so much worse. I had a great attitude about it. I can choose to have a great attitude about almost everything. But when that happened to me 16 years ago, the biggest thing was I felt defeated because as a person who I would say is intelligent, who usually has things figured out, who does things the right way, to have done something so wrong that the state was charging me money for it, to have done
Yes.
something so wrong that I'm getting fined. I was like, this can't be happening. I felt defeated and I felt defeated for way too long because, that can be a trap all in itself, right? Like, it's kind of like when your client fires you, right? Like, let yourself feel depressed or defeated for a day, but don't dwell in it. Don't live in it. And I
Mhm.
lived in that defeat of that accounting mistake for way too long. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone else either. I'd want you to like dust yourself off and say, well, that was an error. I won't make that mistake again and move on. But I didn't move on quick enough.
That's a great
So,
that's great
yeah.
perspective.
And how did you let it impact you though? If you held on to it for a while, how long was that? A week, four
That's
days,
hard to say,
2 days?
right? Like, it was too long. Like, it was maybe even multiple weeks of feeling defeated. Like, because this is 16 years ago, right? So I want to say, like, where today, if that happened today, I would immediately find someone else in business and I would laugh about it. Because today I can laugh about things like that. You won't believe what I just did, right? You won't believe what I just did. Can you believe it? Ha ha ha, right? And
Yeah.
today, and
Immediately.
it's
Yeah.
perspective too, right? Because 16 years later, $1,500 is a significant chunk of change, right? Like, that would be like needing a new laptop computer or something, right? Like, that would be expensive, but not the end of the world, right? Like, it would be, I have money in the bank for that. Like,
Hmm.
it would be, not great, but I would find someone to laugh about it with me because then it would make it all better. Like,
And I Yes, and I really like the perspective that you give to people that it's okay to express your opinions, your feelings, your emotions around something. It's don't get stuck in it. Don't be mired in it. And I remember because I'm a very optimistic person, and sometimes my optimism can rub off on people the wrong way, especially if I appear that my optimism is trying to fix something that somebody doesn't need me to fix. Like you just need to have a moment. And so my mom, her message to me, and that's my mom, AKA Fanny, and she would ask me, she says, are you the one who will hold the umbrella? And I was sort of like, hold the umbrella, give me more. And she said, when individuals are going through something that did not work well in their life, it's like them standing in the rain. She said, will you be the person who will simply hold the umbrella, allow the rain to no longer soak into them, but give them some space so that they can feel what they want to feel? That you don't have to always present the optimistic, silver lining to every cloud. Like give people give them time. But she said, if they don't get out from underneath the rain, then you're going to have to jerk them into the house because she said, standing out in the rain forever will not work. But you do really need to allow people to have time to experience the fullness of all of their emotions.
I would
that's
say
so
that
good. You know, go ahead. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I just wanted my perspective on that with my own journey of toxic positivity is learning that I didn't allow people to feel it all. That would have been a great example to have, but I realized that my empathy has a very short time window. Like we're dealing with
Mm,
this a week later, why are we still dealing with it type of deal? So, and yet I give myself more grace in areas. So why is it different? So I like the idea of the umbrella. I've also heard it as being in the mud with somebody,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do as the editor of this online paper is occasionally I will help families to write obituaries.
Mm.
And I especially have helped like friends and family. I've even helped like friends who are going to post their obituary into my paper. I helped a family on Friday. And a lot of times when someone passes, people throw down horrible platitudes like, oh, they're in a better place. I mean, folks who are listening, never ever say that to anyone. Like they'll just say things that you shouldn't say. Um, I have a line that I always say to families who are grieving, to people who are grieving, and it's there's never a good time to say goodbye because there isn't. Like when you've lost someone, it just feels bad. So I tell people there's never a good time to say goodbye. And then I say, and I'm sending you so much love right now, so many prayers, so much
Yeah.
love. It's
Yeah.
all that I can do, right? But then, if I'm writing an obituary, it is it's like handing them like it's holding the umbrella in one hand and a tissue in the other, and it's like just listening to all the good memories of the person they've lost and putting it into thoughts and plans and information that the world can listen to and feel like, oh, okay, well, you know this is important. And people who I've helped with this, they'll say things like, that was so important. You listened to us and we were grieving. And that's what this family said to me. You listened to us remember our mom and it was really meaningful. Like this is the family from just this last Friday. And yeah, I just like,
Yes.
yeah.
I definitely get it. And I know that this podcast may be going in a little different direction, but I would be remiss not to finish this up by saying that when you don't know what to say nothing. And oftentimes a person just needs you to be in the presence and in the moment with them at that time when something is happening. So, I mean, think about, even though we took this to a little more of a tragic sort of thing, and it's definitely an uh-oh, not something that we caused, but something we're experiencing. But I think it's still important overall that when you have that mistake or that something that happens, whatever it is, it's not important for other people to try to help you get over it immediately. What's important is to allow people to share an empathetic moment with you so that where you can begin to understand where a person is thinking, feeling, saying, and doing, not worrying about trying to fix them out of it. So I think that's really what I was trying to kind of communicate and sort of as we wrap that up. But I think, Ellie, it's time now to go to your second one. Let's make sure we have time to get that
Oh,
second
yeah.
uh-oh that you wanted to
So,
talk about it.
so here's the thing. As a marketing expert, I've been able to help prevent a lot of clients from making expensive marketing mistakes. And so I see this importance of hiring experts, which is why, like, that lesson of needing to hire bookkeepers to handle things that are like bookkeeping so that we would not make the sales tax mistake again, like, it just becomes right. Another thing that was another professional area that I needed to hire was an attorney, and I didn't hire one until after I needed one. And you guys will understand that when you
Mm,
have the client and you didn't have the contract because you didn't have a contract yet, because the contract didn't exist yet. And so there's no contract signed, and they decide to cancel the project after the project's 80% done. Um, then you get stuck. You get stuck. There's no recourse. You aren't going to get paid. You are not going to be treated well. And it was after that happened to me with a potential client that I was like, okay, this is why we have lawyers. This is why we get legal. This is why we
mhm,
put it in writing. This is why we
mhm,
put in writing that you need to pay half up front, and that you've got to, pay the balance at this point, and that there won't be a refund for this website that we're going to work on together. Like, it just makes sense. Like, so bookkeeping, law, and then dare I say marketing, because I have seen so many of my clients make brutally expensive marketing mistakes along the way. Now, those aren't my mistakes because I am a marketer, but those are mistakes I've seen them make. So,
Okay, well, that's very good to be able to kind of consider it. It's sort of like getting insurance after you've already had an accident, right? So it's not a good thing to do. You want to protect
Well,
yourself up front with it.
I would also tie those together. Actually, this will be a question: is you learned that lesson with a startup business 16 years ago? How would you have handled with knowing the lawyer piece? How would you have handled the sales piece, sales tax piece, any differently?
yeah. So, with the sales tax piece, I would have hired bookkeepers from day one. I would have said, I would have hired bookkeepers from day one because it would have saved me money if I'd had them. If I'd paid for bookkeeping, I would have saved money overall and really saved myself that, what did we say, like 3 weeks of
Yeah.
depression. Depression I did not need, depression I did not want, and the truth about that is like the ripple effect of depression in your business, of doing something wrong and then like feeling it for too long, is that it impacts your sales. And who knows how much better I could have been for the following months if I had not had to deal with the accounting error. Because the other thing about that state of Georgia, it didn't just eat money. I should mention this. It didn't just eat money. I had to be on hold with the state of Georgia to try to get to speak to someone for hours and hours and hours.
Mhm.
No way.
Like,
Yeah.
like not just 1 hour, not just two. I believe it took over 3 hours to get someone on the phone. And once I tried starting to get on the phone in the afternoon until the system timed out and everyone had gone home for the day after 5 p.m. and I never got someone. So like the number of hours it took to try to get help to fix the problem and to schedule all the things we needed to fix about it. If I had just hired those bookkeepers, I would have saved both time and money.
Yeah, really great.
Being on call then or hold, you may not have been able to take some work calls either.
That's right. I would not have been able to go do a sales call, go handle something important. And
Yeah.
something, about having my business for 16 years, Dr. Troy mentioned that I'm a mom. When I launched my business, my sons were ages 5 and 7. So I had these little kids. And, you know, like in the summers or whatever, I'm trying to like put them in camps and try to, manage, like go to one appointment while they're at this camp and pick them up and shuffle them around. Like I was doing crazy things to try to operate a business and take care of small children. And it's great to be on the other side of that. Mine are all graduated college now, but it's like,
Yeah.
Ellie, how would you translate this lesson to employees, though? What can they take away from the lessons you just had? Because business owners sometimes can pull from money using credit cards or realizing their time is valuable. How can an employee who can't do it all right or needs to learn a new thing, how can they learn from what you talked about?
yeah. So, I mean, I think as a business owner who has employees, like I personally look for my employees to have a lot of independence and go get 'emness. Like just go do it, go do your job, right? Like, and figure things out, right? But like as an employee, I think you have to know your limitations too, and know when you really don't know something. Know when
Mm.
there's not a YouTube tutorial to figure it out. Know when you need to tell your boss, hey, we need to hire an expert for this. Know when to suggest to your boss, hey, it might be time to call Dirt 1X, call the marketing consultant. It might be time to call that attorney for a new contract around this thing that we're working on. It might be time for us as a business to have, professional bookkeeping services if we don't already have it, or even know when you're looking at something that is so far above your pay grade that you need to tell the boss, hey boss, we need to send this to the lawyer so that we don't get in trouble, or we need to send this to compliance, right? Because if you try to handle everything yourself and it's beyond your capability, it's going to come back and bite you in the tail, right?
And
Because you'll
not
get
and not in a
blamed
good
for
way.
not in the pretty way, not in the that was fun. No, in the bad way, in the way that you'll get blamed for trying to do too much and for not knowing when it was a limitation. Like, and
Yeah.
there are experts for things. Like there's experts, if your company is large, then, getting to know who the coworkers are at other departments who you can send things to and who will work with you, that's really important. Like, it's really important to know, who's there and to build your network. And like, networking is how I've built my entire business in terms of sales, in terms of getting to know people. Like, I've just built it that way. So like, you can build your network, across your own company if you have a large one, or if it's a smaller one. Smaller businesses are going to hire outside bookkeepers. They're going to hire outside legal. They're going to hire outside marketing. They're going to hire people outside to be outsourced departments for those things. So like, knowing when it hits that,
Yeah,
and taking it to your
that's
boss, and coming with solutions, right? Like, hey, I found these 3 marketing companies that I think would be good for us, or these 3 attorneys in the area. Like, you can come to your boss with a solution that looks like reasonable, right? That would solve the problem. Rather than bringing them a problem, you bring them, here's 3 solutions. Which one do you want to use?
And what I really love about that is you really have debunked the myth that people believe that if they ask for questions, it's a sign of weakness. When quite frankly, the sign of weakness is pretending you know how to do it and then screwing it up in the end. That's where the weakness is. And the other pieces of advice that you offered really go so hand in hand with our latest venture, which is becoming a cohesive leader. And some of the information that we provide in there for individuals to think through. It's what might keep you from getting a promotion, is faking that you can do something when in fact you can't, not getting the skill levels that you need, not being honest about things, not learning as much as you possibly can for fear that showing that learning meant that you didn't know something. So I think all of those are really great messages, and we really appreciate that. So Ellie, we'd like to make sure that our listeners have an opportunity to know how to reach you. And I do think you have a special offer that you're going to provide them. Can you talk about that right now?
Yes, I've got a page open if you are interested in learning more about Dirt1X. Maybe your company is in need of an outsourced marketing department, or just in general, you'd like a little bit more information about sales and some sales methodology. I've got a great PDF on how sales works, and you'd have the ability to both subscribe to my newsletter, get the PDF, and then once you do that, you'll get access to my calendar, and you can book a free consultation with me. And I'm offering that to all of Dr. Troy and Ben-Jamin's listeners today. Everyone can get access to that. And that's at dirt1x.com/podcast. So that's DIRT/podcast. And everyone can get access to that offer.
Right. So it's DIRT, the number 1x.com/podcast. Excellent. So Ellie, thank you so much for being with us today. One of the things that we always do in closing out our Cohesion Culture programs is remind folks of this very simple mantra: you don't have to know everything.
Just need to be teachable.